Welcome back to the Cup Chasers podcast. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. The USA scrape through versus Canada in the Gold Cup in a performance that left much to be desired. But let's go ahead and get the likes up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thanks for being here. And go ahead and click on the little bell so you know when all of our content is coming up. So, I guess luckily I missed the first 80 minutes of this game.
Yeah, you did. You were lucky.
Even in between the penalties and the or in between overtime and the end of extra time, Landon even said, "Wow, well at least that was better than the first half" on the broadcast, and I was like, "Whoa."
Listen, Landon's on my list right now. Like,
Really?
yeah, did you see what he said about Christian Pulisic?
Oh no, I did not.
No, what did he say?
That he should have come to the MLS instead of staying in Europe and playing for Milan.
He said that out loud.
Yeah, he said that out loud.
Look, I love Landon Donovan, so I'm not gonna throw any shade. All I'm gonna say is wrong.
Well, I'm gonna throw some shade because I go to MLS games, and I'll put it like this: Pulisic would score a bunch of goals because they can't defend at all in MLS. Like there's zero defenders there. Like -0 is -0. You know what I mean?
It is now.
It is now.
It's a thing now.
It's a thing now.
And so with that, if Pulisic wants to make if he wants to make money, he plays in Europe. That's first.
Yep.
But second, if he wants to have legacy, how dare this man who made I think 4 loan stints to Everton to try to get himself solidified in Europe, and it never stuck. Tell somebody who can be stuck. He played in the Bundesliga, the Prem. He's a Champions League winner, and he's about to go to Italy. How dare you tell this person not to go and go win titles?
To a Champions contending team.
Are you crazy? Get out of here.
Yeah, the Champions League semifinalists.
Right.
Get out of here, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Landon has the second most goals in MLS, so maybe he was just thinking Pulisic could be in that kind of arena by the end of his career, but that's not really something you claim at the the Ballon d'Or presentation with all the buddies, all the soccer people that That's not really something you come out and say, "Hey man, I got the second most goals in MLS."
You know the thing. This is not shade, but it begs a question. I think it's not. I don't know I don't think it's intentional, but I think he looks at Pulisic and sees that he's better than him because, he's not gonna. I don't think longevity wise, as far as as American sort of stalwart guy, he's gonna ever pass Donovan. But as a complete career, he has a better career, and he's still super young. And is he better? I don't know, but he's been given the opportunity at several high-level European teams and has played well. I mean, he was Captain America for Chelsea for several seasons. And when he played in Germany, it's a reason they brought him over because he was top tier. And when he goes to Italy, I promise you he's going to be good in Italy. Just the way he plays, he's going to be really good there. So, can we say that maybe there's some envy of what he can potentially be? I don't. Again, like you said, Jake, Landon has probably the most iconic U.S. moment in football. The only
He's got 2 actually, if you think about it.
Right.
He's got the Algeria goal, and he's got the goal against Mexico in 2002.
Yeah. Right, and so if we look at that. And Landon was good. It wasn't like he wasn't good, but Landon never could reach this level where teams are accepting this guy. And did Landon play at the wrong time? Would Landon sort of be on the same level as Christian is right now? I don't know.
Tough to say.
I think at the national level, Pulisic's not even close to what Landon did. But I do think he has the potential, especially with 2026 Copa next year, to really, put a stamp on things. And I hate he's leaving Chelsea because I really felt like under Pochettino, he was going to get more of an opportunity. But I'm glad that he's going somewhere that they really need a guy of his caliber to play right there on the wing specifically. But I think they're going to probably play him centrally too. But sorry to get off on the tangent on that. But this was rough. This was rough. And the frustrating thing was in the second half, the U.S. dominated, straight up dominated. I think Canada threatened in like the 50th minute, and then they didn't do anything until like the 90th.
Well, he did say that the penalty was their first shot on goal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't turn it on until Jake texted the group, and I was like, oh, this.
Well, as soon as I turned it on, Velasquez was putting in the net, or Vasquez.
Brandon Vasquez.
Literally, I turned it on, and he's heading it into the net.
Yeah, I turned it on.
That ball, by the way, was fantastic from DeJuan Jones.
But after that, all I saw Vasquez doing was getting the ball on the wing. And X, you mentioned it. He was straight aiming for the Tottenham fan. And
I would hope.
We all hate Tottenham.
Yeah,
he probably does too.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool with me if you hit the Tottenham fan in the face. I'm cool. Yeah, I'm totally cool with that. I'm just saying, like, you're not the one to make the crosses. And Jesus Ferreira was playing super deep. It was kind of weird. Was that like because of the subs he made in the second half?
I think it was because of the subs. Yeah. I read this somewhere. I don't know how true it is, but supposedly Berhalter was at the stadium in the locker room before the game. And it's interesting that the formation changed. It just, I don't know. It didn't look as fluid. It didn't look as fluid as they have been under Callahan. And I know it was a little bit step up in competition, obviously. No question about that. But I mean, there was just, it was terrible. It's terrible. And they're going to have to play a lot better to beat Panama.
Really?
Which I think they will.
I was not under the impression that Panama was doing much.
Well,
I guess they beat Jamaica in the other quarterfinals. So.
No, they didn't beat Jamaica.
That's not – who do they play in the other quarterfinal?
They play Guatemala.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I don't know anything about
Jamaica plays Mexico, I believe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That won't be good.
Yeah. But yeah, it was bad. I mean, I usually don't agree with Lawless, but that was probably the worst U.S. soccer match I've seen in a long time.
No, yeah, his remarks were scathing and spot on, I thought. But here is the headline on the ESPN, and this is why I just love ESPN so much. The headline when you go to the homepage of ESPN Soccer. Don't sweat the technique and embrace the U.S. men's national team chaotic Gold Cup ride. That's embarrassing.
No!
That's embarrassing. No. You actually published that on ESPN's website.
This is not an A team. This is not a B team. The only person for the A team would be Miles Robinson, we'll say, but he's been playing terrible. And of course,
Ferreira gets a shot. Ferreira gets a shot for the next
maybe
friendly. At least the next friendly camp.
Yeah,
6 goals in the Gold Cup already. He's got to at least that's got to count for something.
But then you go back to what do you do against Canada? He was at fault for that goal in the second half or in the overtime.
But he's not.
He just stopped. You just stopped chasing him.
I mean, I agree. But he was it's not his position, which is not an excuse for not running back. But I don't know.
We'll say it's a B- team because it's very close to a C team. I think that you can see there's talent in the pool, which is nice. We're now in the 25 to 45 range. I was discussing this with somebody else yesterday. We're in that 25 to 45 range when it comes to where we are in the pool of talent, and it can perform. And that is a huge step, because now there's actually some functional depth being created. You're not going to see a bunch of guys who've never played together, getting run. The days of, well, we got this dual national so that we can fill this spot. We don't have those issues now. We get dual nationals because they're better than what we've got. But what we have isn't that bad. So, I think that the worm is starting to turn in regards to talent for the U.S. But this is a C team. If they pull this off, kudos to them. It'd be
still.
Well, Mexico brought their A team pretty much.
Mexico were bad.
They're terrible. They're terrible.
They've been really bad in this Gold Cup.
Yeah, they scored. They scored on a PK, and then they scored a late goal to push it out against. I think it was Costa Rica. Yeah, I think it was Costa Rica. But collision course, USA, Mexico is coming, but I think Jamaica beats them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. One other thing I do want to mention, Matty Turner.
Very good.
Coming up big.
Repping the boys at down in the Gold Cup. Although, my favorite thing about it was totally reading that the guy who took the penalty in regulation steps up for the very first penalty of the shootout and hits it right down the middle again.
Mm-hmm.
And he totally read him. I was like, yeah, that's what's up. So do you think Turner has solidified completely number one spot? As goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think that the only question now is who's two.
Yeah.
Is it? Stefan's really fallen off. What's the other kid's name? He was just in Germany. I can't remember his name. I'll have to go back and look. Then you got Selena, who's been fantastic for Chelsea's youth squad, and has a huge future based on not only club level but national level. He was on that under-20 squad, and I don't think he gave up a goal until either the last group game or it was one of the first knockout games. So he's going to be a good one. We're back to actually having some depth at keeper, which is really nice because there was times when we rolled out who's a short dude that played for MLS.
About Brad Guzan?
No. This guy was short. He was like 6 foot, if that. He was playing goalie for us. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it was all MLS.
Yeah.
Like Sean Johnson, he's on this team, and I think he got a game in game 2. But he's pretty much done at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's looking pretty good, I'd say, for the U.S. I don't really know much about Panama, but I'm expecting us, especially if we can have a better performance. I'm expecting us to be favorites still for the to win the Gold Cup. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
I've watched the Gold Cup several times. I only caught like the second half of this game, late in the second half and in the extra time. But you and Patrick mentioned it. We're down to like number 40 something that's playing now. I know I've made the comment before that in a country of 360 million people, that we can find 22 people who play the game. And I know people say, oh, they play football and basketball and whatever. Yeah, but even then, if you still let the 300 people go, it's still 360 million people. And
Croatia does it with 23.
And you're telling me we can't find 40 guys. And I'm being honest, I'm just being 1,000% honest. It really, I know the USA has the most Gold Cups, but should this even be where we're even worried about ever winning this thing ever. Maybe it's a complacency thing, but I feel like we should be churning people out all the time.
The only reason it used to matter, because didn't Patrick, you tell me the Confederations Cup isn't a thing anymore?
It's no longer a thing.
Yeah. It's dead.
So that was the only real reason we played the Gold Cup, was to see which CONCACAF team went to the Confederations Cup.
Yeah.
But now that they're playing mixed Copa Americas, and they're playing them every year, every 2 years, so Messi can win one, and now Qatar is playing. Like it's gone nuts.
Well,
Qatar
that
was in
also.
this tournament. Did y'all realize that Qatar was in this Gold Cup?
Yeah, this is the second time they've been in it. They were in the last one too.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand why they were doing it before and continuing on now. I understand, but it's like yeah. I see your point, Lewis. It's kind of like there's no, what's the real point of the Gold Cup at this, nowadays?
Well, I think one, if you consider Nations League any importance, you kind of go to the top of the heap when it comes to Nations League, so you're not playing as much in terms of those qualifying rounds and whatnot, so that helps. But I think I appreciate I was frustrated at first just because of all the drama and whatnot from the World Cup and after the World Cup. And when I saw the roster for this, I was very frustrated because I'm like, well, wait a second. We just came off of a World Cup where, yeah, we looked good, but we couldn't score. So here's a chance for us to, kind of get in a rhythm, figure out what's going on. Then, of course, they decide to announce Berhalter right there during the Nations League semifinals and finals. And, you're like, well, we're going to go back to square one, or where we were beginning, or where we finished. And so I think what we have done this time is we've used it to get guys into camp. We've used it to get people capped. We've used it to, see what we have in the pipeline. Like, I can't remember his first name, but center back, his name's Neil. He's like 19, and he's starting this.
So is Cade Cowell. Cade Cowell's 19.
Yeah,
the guy that hit the penalty that won the game.
Yeah,
he scored the last penalty.
That was him. You get to see guys like Bucio, who is just on the fringe of potentially being,
him
in the A team, and that penalty by him was fantastic.
Oh yeah, best one of the bunch by far.
That was incredible. But I mean, that's the thing. Like you're seeing some of these guys that actually have the ability to play, and will be able to actually challenge down the line, spots come 2026. And we won't be rolling out, oh God, what was his name? He played in 2010. It wasn't Reggie Cannon, it was somebody else. Just out of nowhere. He made the team, and he was supposed to be the guy that was just fast, and he did nothing else. He just ran. That's all he did. And you could tell the lack of quality in the team when you've got players like that making your World Cup team. Now we've got guys that are not only playing internationally, but they're playing against guys that are on their level at least, or if a little bit higher. And it's gonna pay off in the long run for the U.S. But it is a little frustrating when you see some guys and you're like, "What's this guy? Why is he?" I mean, Jordan Morris. Why is he still playing? Why is he still playing for the U.S.?
That one's annoying for sure.
So my follow-on question to that is, and I love the answer is, so I mean, if all of this is to get us ready for the World Cup, because clearly that's it, right? Then so what's the expectation? Because I can have a dream and say the United States will win a World Cup. It would be the greatest, maybe one of the greatest upsets ever in football history if the United States won the World Cup. I mean, I can already imagine.
It would be our what was the hockey team? The '88
Yeah,
You eat Russian
No, the longest odds of all time was Leicester.
Yeah, Leicester 5,001.
5,001. Those were the longest odds in all sports.
but just saying,
All sport.
and I mean,
that is awesome.
while
You're
those
relegated.
betting odds were, as sports people, I mean, the United States winning the World Cup with what we know exists in the world. I mean, those are pretty long odds for us. I mean, everything is possible, and I believe that we can win. But at the same time, I just look at it and say, well, if we're preparing for this, right? If we're preparing to make a World Cup run, so what's the end goal, right? Because I mean, I think Patrick, you mentioned this. They're playing Copa America next year, right? Is that right?
Yep.
And so, are they trying to win that?
It's here.
Right. Are they trying to win that? Like, I mean, for me, I need to know and feel
I
that
would say yes.
they're doing, that they're trying to win something. Because, I mean, they're going to face the Brazil juggernaut. Argentina, minus Messi, is still great.
It's got to be the litmus test for sure.
I mean, it's the challenge. That's
when is Ansel? Oh, that's not till after next season, right?
What?
Yeah, it's next summer.
Yeah, it's next summer.
Next summer.
So he'll be there for the Copa.
Yep, he'll be.
Yeah, he'll be there for Copa for sure.
Oh,
I will say this:
I can't wait to see that.
The world is doing what it's doing, and so what are we doing? Because
we got Berhalter, baby.
We got
Well, see, that's where my
Brazil gets Ancelotti, and we got Greg.
That's where my frustration comes in, because
2.0.
This is a golden moment for the U.S. national team. Did we do well in the World Cup? I mean, okay. All right. We didn't make it the previous World Cup, so making it was a step forward. But making it to knockouts, okay. We'll take it, But it felt like that Berhalter took this team as far as he could. The reason why I did not want Berhalter to come back is because he is known for an inability to create chances and create goals. He got fired in Sweden for that alone. His teams never scored goals. They would lose 1-0. They would play great defense, but then they wouldn't score goals. When you get into tournaments, you've got to score goals. I understand you got to play defense, but defense, for the most part, hasn't been an issue for the U.S. because of their goalkeeper pedigree. So you look at, we won the Nations League. We beat, Mexico, Canada. Those were the two main big ones, If we win the Gold Cup, pretty good accomplishment considering, Jamaica's got a really good squad. Canada was still pretty strong. I wouldn't say it was their 18 because there was no David or Davies. But, going into 24 to 26, this is where the U.S. is supposed to take that next step. And that's why it's very important that they make it past the quarterfinals of Copa America. Because if they don't, they're not going to make it past the quarterfinals of the World Cup in 26. So this is where, and Jake can empathize with me. We wasted 6 months to hire a new coach to bring back the other guy. So if you're going to do that to begin with, just have him there for 6 months so he can work with the team, get his motto or whatnot really, implemented at all levels, not just at the national level, but, under 20s, all that. But, if we don't perform next summer, I will start to be concerned about what 2026 will hold. Because if you look at this team, you look at the makeup, you look at what's sitting, in the wings. You got Balogun now at the 9. You've got Ricardo Pepi going to, I think it was PSV. So you've got guys that are going to be playing for good teams where they're going to be challenged and they're going to need to perform. And if they perform, all these little question marks about, well, what about with this? What about that? They start to be answered. And then it comes down to, all right, can you match the talent that you're going to face in Copa? Because if you can't, you're not going to match it in the World Cup. Even if there's 48 teams, which there's going to be, you're still not going to do it. Yeah. So at that point, if you do well in Copa, I think that you expect to get to the quarterfinals and potentially to the semis in the World Cup. That's my thoughts.
And so who's the talisman? Because we have to look at every country that's literally just done their thing. There's always a guy. And so I think you said it, X, that for Donovan to say, hey, you know, Pulisic should stay in MLS, that's not how you become that guy. No. And so we need because just how good that one guy is for these other countries, for France. I mean, Mbappe. Could anybody, and it's no disrespect, anybody on the U.S. national team tie his shoes, right? You know, I mean, even Cristiano, even though he's, I mean, washed in the his compared to his own standard, who's seeing him against the U.S., right? He's still doing it. So we got to have guys that are there, which goes back to my original point of 22 guys, man. Yeah, 22 guys, and so. And you make a solid point, and I understand Jake's, you know, bemusement of what manager. You really got to get a manager in here, man, and who will train these people, because they don't have time. So they need to. And you know, while I get it, because I know, Jake, you said you didn't like him. What's the German dude?
Klinsmann.
He was the first one, even though people don't like him. He was the first one that said these guys need to stop playing in the United States. They have to go play in Europe. He's the first one that said it. And from that point forward, the players individually got better, but then they were making bad, and I still think it's true, they're making bad choices about the teams they've chosen, because they're picking teams for names instead of playing. You need to play, period. Because for example, Pulisic, excellent player, and when he first got to Chelsea, there was a lot of stuff behind him. He won the Champions League, he was a contributor. But he didn't get the time and development he needed because Chelsea was just so chaotic with him. And so,
that, and also he couldn't stay healthy. I mean, his hamstring issue is it's. I mean, if he doesn't get that resolved, he'll never reach his full potential. It gets him on the bench so much. But not to interrupt you, Lewis, but to answer your question about talisman, if Berhalter and Reyna can, you know, bury the hatchet, I think it'd be Reyna. I really do. I think he's got the quality. I think he's got the skill that not many on this team could match or could do. If it's not him, maybe Balogun. I think Balogun, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Balogun, and I think that he could be the difference between the U.S. winning a group and coming in second. I think he can be the difference between the U.S. actually capitalizing on opportunities or losing 1-0.
And I say that because we have so many examples. Davies in Canada. Look, you just need one, right? Yeah. James in Colombia. You just need one guy. Yep. One guy who's like, they were burning it up, because like James was, and the only reason, obviously I lived in Colombia, he was burning it up at Monaco, burning it up, and then played the World Cup, insane, and then I understand he's Latino, you gotta play for Real Madrid, and that was the worst decision he made. Worst decision he made for his career. Yep. Worst decision. He got lazy, and you know, you're behind Ronaldo. I know he didn't think he was gonna play. So, you know, but that did it to him. Falcao, they ran him into the ground, but they had a guy. You got to have a guy.
Sometimes you have to have two.
Realistically, because they have Falcao and James together. And Mexico, when they had Chicharito and the center half who played for Barca. Marquez, who played until he was like 95 years old.
97.
Yeah, Marquez.
But they had a guy in Ochoa. We can't ever.
Yeah, Memo. You can't.
Memo is the goalkeeper for Mexico in 2147.
He made a deal with the Mayans.
He will play in Mexico in 2026.
He made a deal with the Mayans, and he's like, "I'm the goalkeeper." That's just.
So I'm being honest, and I say, who's our guy? Because you brought up Donovan. I know we didn't bring up Dempsey, but there were guys, Howard, and we can have opinions. At least when we had a guy, you had hope that they could do something, and I just don't know who the guy is. I don't know.
Yeah, that's to be determined still.
Yeah,
they running out of time, my friend, because these World Cup windows and these Continental Cups, they come up on you fast.
They do.
Yeah, especially since they're not playing together as much. It's not really a club schedule. So there's only so much opportunity. If you think about it, there's only like what, 10 camps maybe before the World Cup, so they definitely got to get it together before then. And I think next season or next summer rather will definitely be, it'll definitely be telling one way or the other. But if you're hoping the U.S. can go on and take the Gold Cup and maybe even the Copa America next summer as well, go ahead and smash the likes, subscribe to the channel, and get that notification bell on. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.